Hello again, welcome back to the Catalyst Sessions. My name is Bill DeYoung from the St. Pete Catalyst. We're glad you're here. We're keeping our arts community together in more ways than one, because today's guest is speaking to us from her home in Denver, Colorado, where apparently the fires are not raging as they were. Say hello to Amy Elizabeth Gray.
Hello. Hey, everyone.
Amy is an artistic associate at Jobsite Theater, a very, very familiar face at Jobsite and other theaters around here, and is currently in Colorado, where you guys live there, right? I mean, you sort of just come here to visit and work sometimes?
Yeah, we were in Colorado for about 16 years, and then my significant other, his business brought us out here about 2014, end of 2014.
Yeah.
And so ever since, I just keep coming back. Almost every year I've come back to do shows. So yeah, I kind of split my time.
Well, you do theater out there as well, obviously. It's not like, well, I got to go get my theater fixed. I'm going back to Florida for a while.
That's how it was at the beginning, because it was really difficult getting into the grooves out here. But really? Yeah, it's now, what I was actually doing right before the pandemic hit was we were in tech rehearsal for my next show out here. And so just like Jobsite, we were about a week out from opening. They were on opening. Yep. And we got the note that we weren't going to be opening. So
you haven't been back to Florida in at least 6 months. Then.
No.
But
and my hair needs it. I still go to my hairstylist in Florida. So I'm like, oh. Anyway.
Well, everybody's been to Jobsite over the last years, knows Amy very, very well. We're going to look at some photos and talk about some shows in a minute. You were you from Pennsylvania or something?
Originally Pennsylvania, right outside of Pittsburgh.
And how'd you end up in Florida? I don't remember. I wrote it down somewhere, 1998 or 9 or something.
Yeah, so when I was really little, my entire family, we did move to Florida for a short time because my dad wanted to be in Florida. Ended up having to go back to Pennsylvania. So graduated from high school, went to college in Kentucky. And then when I was graduating from Kentucky, me, the significant other, my mom, were all like, let's go. And so we packed up our cars and headed to Florida. And we were there from, January 99, because we graduated December 98. And so January 99 till 2014, we were in Tampa Bay.
Did you know anybody here in the theater community? Did you have any idea? But that was the goal.
Idea.
I mean, that's what you went to school for, was what, musical theater?
Yeah. It was for theater. I was an opera minor, so I did have that musical classical background. But when I moved down to Florida, I had no connections, didn't know anybody. And it was really just, can I even do this? Does anyone even want to see me do this? Yeah. So I did a lot of community theater to start with, which is a great training ground for anybody who doesn't have, any actual items on their resume, to get your feet wet, to really learn what it takes. So
I'm a big proponent of community theater. So you did St. Pete City Theater, which is probably still the Little Theater then?
It was still the Little Theater. I did 8 o'clock theater.
Yeah.
I got involved with Guerrilla Theater. So Guerrilla was like my first, in 2001, that was my first professional credit. We did the musical sideshow. And so we did that at Guerrilla, and then I got in over at Golden Apple Dinner Theater, and then I started getting in with Jobsite. Yeah.
Well, you and I talked about this whenever that was, 100 years ago or something, when we did a story together. But you explained to me quite eloquently why Jobsite was home for you, why that was the place, because David's taste is so eclectic, they're just weird enough for you. Can you explain that? Why was it Jobsite?
I like the weird stuff, maybe. No, Well, the first show I did with them was a Strindberg piece, and what makes me interested in theater is the avant-garde, the things that you're not expecting. As much as I do musical theater and I have that opera background and that kind of typical classical sound, I love the stuff that's on the edges. And so for me, the first show that I did with them being a dream play, Strindberg, that was just, thank you. Something that I've never had the opportunity to do, always wanted to do, and they gave me the chance.
Let's take a little mystery tour here, as it were, through some Jobsite stuff. Okay. And if I can figure out as I explained to you, my computer crashed right before we got on here, so I have to go and reconfigure something or other. So give me a second. Here, you want to riff for a minute while I figure this out?
Sure.
Talk to the folks for me, will you?
Sure.
I'll
Hey,
be right
everybody.
back.
So yeah, just to touch back on what he was talking about here in Colorado, we've had some really crazy weather. It's been so dry and hot. It's beautiful, but what you see behind me right now, all the beautiful blue skies, it's actually been really hazy, and we had about 4 different wildfires going. I think they're all still burning, but some of them are a little bit better contained. But it's just been pretty sad, not just in California with the wildfires, but here in Colorado. During this pandemic, it's kind of been everything that can be thrown at us has been thrown at us, right? So
is your house safe? Is everything good there?
It is good. We're at least 2.5, 3 hours away from the closest fire. But the other morning when I came out, when it was still really hot and hazy, there were ashes on our back porch.
Wow.
So even though we're that far away, we're still getting hit with the remnants of it. Coming outside, you can smell it. It's, so we're lucky. We're very, very lucky compared to many. But one of the things that we had done recently, me and my significant other, we went hiking at this gorgeous national park just 3 hours away, and it almost was decimated in one of the fires. Luckily, the lake itself was not, but everything surrounding it has been. So to even get to that lake right now is impossible. So I'd been wanting to go ever since we moved here, and we never went. We finally did, and it was gorgeous. Glad I did, but man, it's just so sad.
Well, you at some point, Amy, before we get this, because I have figured it out, but the intention, once the world returns to the world as we know it, as Michael Stipe might say,
right.
You'll come back to Jobsite at some point, won't you? Don't you imagine?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's already some ideas in the mix, so we're just depends on how everything plays out for the rest of the season.
Let me show you a photograph real quick here. This is, and you should be seeing this now. This is the Silence the Musical. Tell me about this. I don't even remember what year this was. I'm thinking this is like 2012 or somewhere.
Nope, that was 2015. That was my first show back after having moved. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think that's what we're looking at is stuff after you've moved. But tell me about this.
Okay.
This is a musical version of the Silence of the Lambs. And
yes, Silence.
I'm assuming you're Clarice here. Tell me about this show.
That was probably one of my favorites, just because everybody knows what it's going to be, but you don't know what you're going to get. And it does follow so closely to the actual movie, but the way things are actually accomplished, people just start cracking up halfway through the line even being read, because you know what's about to be said. I just thought that this was a great play, or a great take on the movie. Very funny, very off the wall, very raunchy. Like, you cannot repeat most of the titles of the songs. When we did when we did our when we did the TV spots for this, we're just like, sorry, not for the kids, just not something. But there was this one scene where John Harrison is playing Hannibal Lecter and I'm playing Clarice, and I'm supposed to be frozen, and he sings a particular song about what he can smell, and I'm supposed to be frozen, but I hear the entire audience just rolling with laughter. Every performance, I was just like, I can't not laugh. There's just no way to not laugh at this. So it was just a real fun. That was one of our first shows, or our second show in the Jabe, because 2014 we did Forbidden Planet in there, and so this was the second Jabe show, and it actually did very, very well for Jobsite. So very proud of that one.
Let me do this. I'm having all kinds of mechanical snafus here, but
that's okay.
Okay. Now, you've done Hedwig and the Angry Inch twice over there with Spencer Myers. I don't know if this is the first one or the second one. I'm going to guess this is the second one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the new wig.
And Yitzhak traditionally is a female in a male role. I mean, it's the whole point of this show, which is amazing high energy performance show. You and Spencer did this twice. Can you tell me about this experience, playing that character on this particular? The show is so intense.
It is a very cathartic role for whoever gets to play Hedwig, no matter what your background is, no matter what your history is, what your personal experiences are. It's a very cathartic piece for that performer. And as your Yitzhak, you know, you get to sit back and support that character. You get to be there for that character, whether you're angry at that character at that moment or you're loving or what. It's you're on stage performing, but you get to experience that person. So for me, it was really just getting to watch Spencer in all of his glory and get to be his backup. You know, it's the show is not about Yitzhak. She has her moments, you know, like she gets her glory at the very end, but it's all about his journey or her journey as Hedwig. And I just, as an actor, having known Spencer, we both started at Jobsite the same season.
Wow.
So having that history between he and I, getting to watch him morph into this, and the differences between his first go round in 2013 to 2018, you know, that was a nice 5-year stretch of him getting to grow as a human being. And what else could he bring to the part?
That's an interesting thing to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really, really lovely to experience that with him both times, but also just that character to be able to sit back and watch a performer do that work. You know, not often, like I'm in it, you know, I'm not removing myself from the show, but I did get to sit back, and, you know, Jeremy Douglas is behind me. And so there'd be times I'd look back at him and we would just smile because we'd see what was happening on that stage.
Let's talk about CloudNine, which was actually the first time I ever saw you. And this is you and David. Can you see this picture? I'm clicking all sorts of things here and I don't even know it's working. Great.
Yes.
CloudNine was great. I had just moved back here. This is my hometown after many years away. And someone says, let's go over to Jobsite Theater. I think you'll like this, Bill. And so, you know, wow, look, and that was my introduction to David and to Giles and to you and all sorts of people that are still kind of in an orbit that I'm fascinated by. You played 2 different characters like everybody did in the show, Act 1 and Act 2. What was this experience like?
It was very different. I actually did not know if I was going to come back to do a show, but at that point of the season, I don't think I had been in anything yet that year. And I was like, I need to come back. And so I messaged Gavin, the director. I was like, hey, I'd like to throw my name in the hat if you're still looking. And he went, actually, I am. So I did video auditions because I'm not that actor that's like, just put me in. I want to make sure that I am what they want. And so I did video auditions, did all of that for him, and he cast me. And when I came back, it was a really fun room because I had never had the opportunity to work with Giles previously. David and I had never shared the stage. I had worked with him in many capacities, but not on stage together. And this time, Spencer and I didn't share the stage. Like, we were in the show together, but it was rare for us to have any interaction in this particular show.
Katrina Stevenson was in this too. I was just saying the first time I saw her too. It's all coming back to me now, you know. What a great...
And Katrina, and Katrina and I had been in shows together before, but not like we were on a relationship level on this one. So it was a really nice change of pace that I had yet to experience with really most of my co-actors at Jobsite.
What is that like when you make that leap? As you say, from, you know, being I'm new in town, I'm trained, but I got to go through the motions, as it were, of community theater, which of course is a great training ground, and you learn all sorts of things about discipline and humility and all those things we all need to know about. But to make that leap into the professional realm, I mean, does everything change? Is it like going from black and white to color? What is that like?
It doesn't all change. I think it depends on the situation. Like, Jobsite is as professional as they are. They're still a little bit more laid back than others. The first professional show I did at Guerrilla Theater, almost every actor that came in from New York were union actors. So there was very much that mentality of when's our break? Like, not that it was a negative thing, it was a wonderful experience.
Oh, like the union thing, like, hey,
Yes. So there was that whole like organization of it. That
this water is not room temperature. I'm walking off, right?
But it can be very different. But I will say that because it was in Tampa, it's a little less stuffy. And so my experience moving into the professional realm in Tampa was a little less awkward. I think probably the most strict experience I had was down at the Oslo. I did a
oh, sure, I can imagine.
Yeah, so we did the off-Broadway production of A Tale of Two Cities, or the world premiere in 2007 that went went to Broadway in 2008. And so that we had a Tony Award-winning Tony Walton designing the sets. David, oh my gosh, I can't remember, David Zinn creating the costumes. Mm-hmm. So like all of these Tony Award-winning people, Michael Donald Edwards, who is in charge down there.
Yeah.
Warren Carlyle, who has now directed on Broadway. We had such a strict aspect of this is what theater is. You do not get into costume until this time. Like these are the things that you kind of learn when you're in college, because they start to give you that information when you're in college.
But you've never seen anybody put into practical use before.
Never. And then you go to something like the Oslo and you're like, okay, you can't do this, you can't do. It's very specific. You do not get into your wig until literally 10 minutes till the show.
Wow.
You do not get into costume until 15 till. Like, it's very specific and drawn with these straight edges, because they need to keep things at a pristine level for the show, right? That is their job. Yeah. And so those of us at Jobsite, like I know people when we're at Jobsite, we're in costume at like an hour till, which is not a big deal, but
it's still very professional. I mean, we should say that too. I mean, that's the thing.
Very, very.
I love Jobsite. I love Stageworks. You know, I love Tampa Rep. I love American Stage, obviously, and Free Fall as well. They're all different experiences, but they're all very like top notch in their own way.
Yeah, and we all have our ways that we do kind of lean back a little bit or stay very strict and rigid. So it depends on who you're working with. I think because the Jobsite, it is such a family atmosphere for those of us that have been there for so long, it's a little bit more laid back. And we know that we can trust each other. A lot of times you go to a company like the Oslo, it might be the first time you're working with them. They don't know what they're going to get from you. So they need to make sure they keep you on that straight and narrow so that it doesn't affect anything else, right?
Let me jump here, because I wrote something down, and I don't want to forget it because it's a great story. Let's go back to 2014 for a minute and the last night at Ballyhoo. You were assistant director and you were about to move back to Colorado.
Or move to Colorado. That was.
I thought you'd been there before, but okay. You're leaving Tampa, going to Denver. Gotta go. Your assistant director, it's opening weekend. What happens? Tell folks at home this is a great story.
I was visiting my friend who worked at the Florida Aquarium. She got me in for an afternoon. I'm looking at all the fishies, and it's like, well, tonight, it was a Thursday night, and it would technically have been opening night, but the JCC had sponsored the show, so they kind of took that performance for a private performance, and so our official opening was then Friday.
Yeah.
So that Thursday night, I'm going to go and do one last watch of the show to be able to give notes, whatever.
Yeah.
I get into a car accident. Somebody hits me. So I end up in the hospital, or
I thought this happened at the Florida Aquarium. I thought maybe it was an octopus or something.
No, I was leaving the aquarium. Yeah. I was leaving the aquarium. Somebody hits me and I end up at the ER. So I missed the show that night. The next morning, I had plans, because again, the rest of that weekend was literally just going to be enjoying opening night on Friday and then packing and then getting on the road on Monday.
Yeah.
Well, woke up on Friday to find out that Katie Castonguay, who was in the show playing La La Levy, she was admitted into the hospital late that night as well, due to a previous kidney issue that she had had. And she was not going to be permitted out until the next day. So I ended up having to go on for La La Levy, and I was luckily still in shock from the car accident because I was in so much pain like the days following, but that day I was okay. But I went in on stage, script in hand, everybody bound together. Nate Jokala is like highlighting all the lines. Like I knew the part, but I just didn't know the lines memorized, of course.
Of course.
And so I had the book in hand. They got all the costumes to at least stay on me. We did opening night.
The joys of duct tape. Yeah.
Oh wow! I mean, it was a real group effort because it was last minute. Everybody in the theater at 3 o'clock when typically we wouldn't have to be there till 6 o'clock, and we were just running through everything, making sure that we at least had something to open with.
How did it go?
So it went actually very well. I mean, because I knew the show, I had been assistant directing. I knew all of her beats. I knew what was needing to happen. I was able to at least put that forth.
Yeah.
I just felt bad that someone had to watch me with a book in hand. But there was someone who made a wonderful, lovely comment saying, at some point, you just forgot the book was there.
That's very
That made me feel good. Yeah. And then, of course, Katie came back to save the weekend the very next day. So by that point, I was in so much pain, I wouldn't have been able to go on. So it was, perfect timing.
Can you imagine if you were doing Hedwig and, you were aging on Hedwig, but, our Yitzhak's not going to be here tonight with your bruised ribs or whatever.
Yeah. What's crazy is to this day, I'm still dealing with repercussions from that car accident.
Wow.
So when I came back for Silence, I didn't know how opening was going to go for Silence, because there were moments during the month leading up to Silence that I couldn't walk. And I'm not exaggerating. I literally had to roll myself out of bed and hold on to things to move. And then after Silence closed, for the last 5 years, I've been great. And then the pandemic happened. And as I said, a bunch of things just kind of happened. The issue came back. So I have no idea. It just literally reared its head. And for the last 3 months, I have been in a lot of.
Wow.
Yeah. All I can think of was I was working out. Maybe I pulled something or did something, stepped a little weird, and it came back. And so for the last 3 months, I've literally been hobbling around. I just finished a pack of steroids this week. I don't like to take drugs if I don't need to, but I'm finally able to walk around without pain right now.
You might be able to try weightlifting too, steroids.
I used to, I used to weightlift all the time, and I was like, oh, I need to get back into it, but whew.
Here's a photo from, I think this is 2018 from Buffy Fest.
Yes, it is.
I know this was special to you. This was with the Florida Orchestra. Because you got to sing and perform with all these wonderful musicians and singers and stuff.
Well, just to have a 26-piece band behind you to sing anything, that's always amazing. But what Jeremy has put together with the Florida Orchestra is just such a creative outlet for so many different genres of music. But when he said he was putting Buffy Fest together, I didn't get to do it the first year. Very jealous I wasn't a part of that. But I was asked, since I was going to be in town for this particular one in 2018, they weren't going to have their Anya. So they asked me to fill in. And so I got to sing the part of Anya, and Emma Caulfield, who originated the part of Anya in the TV show, was there.
Yeah.
So I actually got to sing her stuff in front of her, which, because Nicholas Brendan, who played Xander, which Spencer played, we both were performing in front of our originals, and that was freaky as all get out, but also very amazing. And
I've heard, I wasn't there, but I've heard such wonderful things about that particular night.
It was kind of magical, because Emma she jumped up on stage after one of the songs and gave me a big hug, and I was about to cry, because I didn't know how I would be performing someone's original stuff in front of them. And she was so into it and appreciative and just supportive. So that was awesome.
I want to look
at, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. There's always that weird kind of...
but I looked over at Jeremy when that happened, and he was just you could see the tears starting to come down his face. And it was just that moment for all of us as performers to be performers are an exceptional group, right? As much as we're always fighting against each other to get apart, we're also very supportive of each other when things are going well. And that was just an amazing moment. So.
There's always a moment in anything that I'm involved in, and I'm not really a performer, but when I'm giving a talk or involved in something, there's always at least one moment where inside you, the little voice just says, "This is why I do this. This feeling." I have one more picture. I was going to look at Three Penny Opera, but I decided to go straight for this because this was such an incredible show. And this was less than a year ago, right? This was sort of pre-pandemic.
It was right now last year.
Was it?
In September of last year. Yeah.
Meteor Shower, the Steve Martin.
Meteor Shower.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's Jordan. And I don't know if you know, but Jordan sadly has moved away from the Tampa Bay area. He went back to his hometown in Kansas. So he's actually close to me now. But him and his wife and children are now back there. But this was a fun experience. Another one of those off the wall. Paul Potenza directed. Very, very comedic. But, you know, I played Laura, who's kind of more the straight-laced, crabby, snotty woman. Jordan played kind of just that sweet, unassuming. But then you had Jamie Jones and Janelle Meyer, who were just off their rocker, balls to the wall, crazy fun. And so it was a real interesting ride, because I think we all had our moments of going crazy, but then being subdued. But when Janelle and Jamie get to start going, oh gosh.
Well, we should point out that what we're seeing here on his shirt there is just been hit by a meteor, folks.
Yes. He's still alive, but he's been hit by a meteor.
Yeah, and Amy is dazed in the background there, but it was a very, very funny show. Yeah. Can we talk about, I mean, the future, such as it is? Oh, well, that sounds terrible. Such as it is.
I mean,
you know, what's on the menu for you, if anything, you know?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, the show that I was doing out here, Moon Over Buffalo, that is now canceled. It's not coming back. Unlike Job Sites with Doubt, they are going to come back and reopen with Doubt when they can. Right. We unfortunately weren't. So all of that rehearsal and now nothing. Out here, the reason I am drinking a mimosa is literally a callback to the first thing I did at the pandemic. It was my birthday week. And so I did birthday mimosas, and David Jenkins put together a very funny video of me doing nothing but drinking mimosas for my birthday. So this is just a funny little callback.
I think I saw that video, actually.
It was quite fun. But basically out here, I've just been prepping for more auditions. We've been doing, let's see, since the pandemic began, I've been doing a bunch of things that I can do, such as I was involved with that Thunderdome video for the Florida Bee Orchestra. Yeah. I did a scene with Caitlin Eason for Jobsite. I did a Shakespeare monologue for Jobsite. I did a song for Stageworks. Carla was lovely enough to invite me to sing something. I did a radio play here in Denver. Getting ready for auditions, because there's still calls coming out because people don't know when things are going to get back into being. So I've done some auditions online. For Jobsite itself, I know that they just announced some 2 shows. They're bringing back the Abridged. Oh, they're doing 3, the Twilight Los Angeles with Andreza, and then Giles. Yeah, Giles, the
Frankenstein, the Modern Prometheus
one. Yeah. And then they also announced their digital shorts. So that's actually something I'm hopefully going to be getting involved in. I came up with an idea. David and I chatted about it. We thought it would be fun. Because of all my travel, going to be putting together a digital short of my dog traveling. I don't know if anyone's going to want to pay to see that, but I think it's going to be funny, because
that might be funnier than a lawn dwarf traveling, you know?
Well, I will say, if anyone knows me, they know my dog, and they all love my dog. So I'm like, I know they'd rather see my dog than see me doing stuff.
What kind of dog is he? So just
big old mutt, Shar-Pei, Border Collie, Lab Pit, everything under the sun. Almost 12 years old, but I drag him everywhere. I'm going to try to pull up a quick photo of him. For example, I don't know if you can. No, can't see that.
No, vaguely. He looks big.
I can send. Yeah, he's a big boy. But like, one of the other things I've been doing is, me and the significant other, we've been trying to get out. I mentioned we went to that lake, you know, trying to get out to see things, like hiking or whatever. We go boating. There's a beautiful lake a couple hours away. And so my dog loves being on a boat. So we take him everywhere. So Tucker's travels are kind of a thing that everyone is used to hearing about when they talk to me. And so I'm thinking of doing digital shorts on that. What else is happening? I'm just trying to stay active. I don't want to feel like I have to do things. I mean, no one should feel like they have to. I mean, you need to take your emotional moments for yourself and get through this, because this is unprecedented for all of us. But I know that for myself, just being able to enjoy some nice drinks, sunsets, Zoom happy hours with friends.
Yeah.
Right? So things like connecting with friends, anything that I can do to just try to emotionally and mentally chill out and feel good about things, but then also try to exert myself in some creative way, because my first 2 years here in Colorado were really difficult. I didn't book anything here, and that took a strain. So I know going forward, too much of this, of what we're experiencing right now, is also going to be a strain creatively. And so that's why I'm hoping between some of the things I've already done, hopefully the digital shorts, you know, hoping that the gods allow us to move forward with some sort of live theater in the spring.
One day it will end.
Yeah,
it will end.
Hopefully sooner rather than later, but we got to listen to the scientists, and please follow the rules, because that's the only way we're going to get back.
Amy Gray, it's such a delight to speak to you.
We've
reached the end of our time together here, but I hope to see you on a stage around here again real soon.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Good to see your face. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.